Already.
Good afternoon. This is the January 18th Transit-Paratransit Coordinating Committee. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm sorry, did somebody say something?
No, that was my computer. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with introductions. I think since we have a number of new people, I'm going to go ahead and just call on people, and you could introduce yourself and your affiliation if you have one. I'll start off. I'll introduce SCTA staff first, and then we'll go down from there. I'm Dana Trey from SCTA. Drew?
Hi, Drew Nichols, SCTA.
And Ross?
Ross Clendevin, SCTA.
Great. And then Jen, could you introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. My name is Gina Erickson. I am a member of the State Council on Developmental Disabilities. I represent the North Bay region, and I hope to learn a lot today. One quick announcement. We just lost our state analyst. He died this month due to the COVID. I'd like to have a moment of silence if we can, to honor him. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna. We could go ahead and do that now and then continue with introductions. Thanks. All right, thanks everyone. And thank you, Jenna. We have our chair, Dennis Battenberg, calling in through the phone. Dennis, would you like to say hello?
Hello.
Hey, Dennis, good to have you here. All right, Catherine Stambrough.
Hi, yes, so my name's Catherine Stambaugh, and I work for Lifelong Medical Care. We're a community health center, mainly in the East Bay and in Marin. And I'm joining the meeting today because we're partnering with the Santa Rosa Community Health to open a program for inclusive care for the elderly in Rohnert Park. And there's transportation needs related to that. So I wanted to start getting connected to this group.
Great, well, welcome.
Thank you.
And Lauren Garibaldi.
Hi, I'm with the Petaluma People Service Center representing seniors in Petaluma, and also I ride volunteer driver coordinator.
Thank you. Yuri.
Yes, I'm Yuri Kozlin with Santa Rosa City Bus. I'm a planner dealing with paratransit and fixed route.
Okay. And Linda.
Linda Chaffin. That's I'm on the I'm representing the Cloverdale Senior Center, where I'm on the board, and also representing people in Cloverdale in general, where there is paratransit, but there's no other transit absent the bus. And so if you need to go to the doctor, you're out of luck. So I'm just trying to get hooked up with the various folks.
Great, thanks and welcome, Linda. Let's see, Kathleen.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Cortez. I'm with the Area Agency on Aging, which is part of the Human Services Department of Sonoma County.
Thank you. And Trace, is that how you pronounce your name? Tracy. Oh, and we can't hear you.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Tracy Beards, I'm a community volunteer.
Great, thank you. Sorry, the names are jumping around on me. Sylvia.
Hi, this is Sylvia Martinez Palacios with City of Petaluma, Petaluma Transit, representing paratransit and fixed route services.
And Stephen.
Hi, Stephen Schmitz with Sonoma County Transit.
Thanks. And Mohammed. see Mohammed Ali with MV Transit is on the line.
Yeah, and I'll just introduce
Okay.
Mohammed. Mohammed's our operations manager, and he works. His service provides paratransit services to paratransit riders within the city of Santa Rosa.
Great, thank you. And Carol.
Oh, hi. First, my connection is lousy, but Carol Taylor, I'm with the Genesis Disability Justice Task Force. And Genesis is based in the East Bay, but we are throughout the 9 Bay Area counties, and we're just studying paratransit. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Oh, Maria.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm new with Sonoma County Transit. My name is Maria RC. I handle or help with paratransit and fixed route at SCT.
Great, thank you. Anyone else?
Sorry. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Oh, yes, I could hear you now, Mohammed. Thank you.
Yep. Sorry, I was working on my mic. Thanks.
No problem. All right. So let's move on. Item number 2 on the agenda is a vote to continue this meeting via Zoom. We normally pass this at our board meetings every month, and that covers all of our committee meetings. But we did not have a board meeting this month, so we do need to have each committee vote, take an action to approve holding the meetings via Zoom. So I'll just read through this to you all. So based on the California Governor's March 4th, 2020 declaration of the state of emergency due to COVID-19, which is still in effect, and the Sonoma County Public Health Order, Health Officers September 22nd, 2021 recommendation to continue teleconferencing or social distancing during public meetings, the Transit-Paratransit Coordinating Committee finds that the conditions continue to exist pursuant to the Government Code Section 54953E3 to allow it to use teleconferencing to hold public meetings in accordance with Government Code Section 54953E2 to ensure members of the public have continued access to safely observe and participate in local government. So I am looking for an action on this item.
I'll make
I'll
a
make a
motion.
motion.
to continue. Yep. Sorry, I'll second.
Great. Thank you. Any objections? All right, thank you. Next item is approval of the meeting notes from November 16th. Does anyone have any corrections to the meeting notes?
I had a thought that when we were discussing the CAC liaison, I believe that somebody volunteered to take that role on since Earl Baum, I believe it was Ted, has retired. And that wasn't recorded in the minutes, so I didn't know if that should have been.
Okay, yeah, you know what? I think that we actually need to take a formal, I will review the notes, but I thank you for raising that. I think that we actually do need to take a formal action to appoint someone. And the discussion at our last meeting in November, when Tim Webster announced that he was not continuing with his committee, it was a more casual discussion. So we'll plan to bring something to this committee at our March meeting to appoint someone to the Citizens Advisory Committee.
I'd
Thank
be
you for
happy
bringing
to
that
do
up.
it. I'd be happy to do it.
Okay, thank you. We will bring a formal item to this committee at our next meeting. And so if you want to speak up then, that would be great.
Okay.
I have a question. Jenna, do you work with the Earl Baum Center?
I do, not all the time, but I do. They're not open right now, but I have in the past.
I just think it's important to maintain that a representation on this committee. So maybe if there's something we can do to reach out to them and find out if we could have Jenna as well as somebody else from the Roboham Center. Just to,
Yeah, they're not open at the moment. They're closed due to the COVID restrictions. I just tried to call them the other day, and their machine just said that they were not open except for by open only.
Yeah, so we'll talk about this a little bit more later under membership, but I have been reaching out to organizations that have been part of this committee in the past and we don't have representation on. So the Roboham Center is included in that. I'll just say briefly that if anybody is interested in the Citizens Advisory Committee, you can attend as a public member, and I strongly encourage you to do that to get a sense of what the committee does and discusses, and see if it's something that you think would be a good fit for you to continue attending and to possibly become a voting member of. All right, so any other questions or corrections on the minutes? All right, and can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any objections? Thank you. All right, so we have a number of administrative items, as we generally do in the first meeting of the year. We will start with officer elections for this calendar year. At the first meeting of each year, we elect a chair and vice chair of this committee. And during this last year, Dennis Battenberg has been the chair and Tim Webster was the vice chair. And I have been facilitating the meeting due to technology challenges and doing the meetings on Zoom. But if somebody were able to do that, I would step down from that role. So I will go ahead and open up for nominations. And let's go ahead and do nominations for the chair position first. You can nominate someone else on this committee. You can also nominate yourself if you're interested in serving in one of these positions.
As I said, of course, rerun.
I'm sorry, Dennis, I didn't quite understand what you said. Can you repeat yourself?
Okay, I've said, of course, I'll run again if there's no one else.
All right, thank you, Dennis. So that's a nomination for Dennis Battenberg as chair. Are there any others?
What does the job entail?
It's generally facilitating the meeting and going through the agenda, but also helping to develop the agenda before each meeting.
Okay. Yeah, my hands are pretty busy with the committees already on. I think I'd rather not be a chairperson, but maybe a vice chair or something.
Okay, well, let's talk about vice chair after we take a vote on the chair. So let's go ahead, and we have one nomination, and that's Dennis Battenberg for the chair of this committee. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Great. Any objections? All right. Thank you, Dennis, for serving as chair again.
Thanks, Dennis.
We appreciate it. All right, now let's go ahead and discuss the vice chair position and make any nominations for yourself or another member of the committee.
Well, I nominate myself.
Thank you, Jenna. So Jenna, really, I would call on you if Dennis were not available to review and help develop the agenda to go through that before each meeting.
Okay.
All right, any other nominations? Okay, then can I get somebody want to make a motion to elect Jenna Erickson as vice chair of the committee?
Make a motion. I'll second the motion.
All right, any objections?
That was easy.
Great. All right, thank you, Jenna and Dennis. All right, the next item on the agenda is the meeting schedule for 2022. At this point, I'm going to share my screen. As soon as Drew allows me to, thank you. All right, can you all see agenda packet here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, I just want to bring this up briefly. This shows all of the schedule, the tentative schedule for all of the committee meetings of the SCTA. The TPCC is here in purple on the third Tuesday of every month, of the other month. So this item is just for your information. I will move on to the next item, which is the membership roster for the TPCC. And I just want to give you guys a kind of overview of the positions that are on this committee and the vacancies that we have, because we do have more than we have for a while, more vacancies. So I wanted to review that with everyone. So currently our vacancies are representative of the Hispanic Latino community, a social service provider for disabled. Those are two positions previously held by Earl Baum Center and the Disability Services and Legal Center. And then another social service provider for disabled is a transportation provider. In the past, that was held by Becoming Independent. And then, so I have actually reached out to those three agencies to see if they have someone else who can be on the committee. I have not heard back from them yet, so I'm hoping that I know things have been probably a little slow, and public places that may have had some restrictions this month due to COVID, but I will continue reaching out to them. And then we also have a vacancy for a local services provider for persons of limited means. We do allow alternates in all of these categories, and jurisdictions within the county are also able to appoint members to this committee. So do we have any questions on the roster? All right, I'm actually gonna, yeah.
Danny, I just have a quick question. I was looking at the category 2 and 3, and it says one potential transit user. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so I should have actually just mentioned that these are these categories come from the requirements for paratransit coordinating committees. And I've never quite understood exactly why they say a potential transit user, and it's not really described in the the guidance. I think that it's, generally it should be, these positions should be held by somebody who uses transit, so they have some knowledge of the transit system. But I think, I'm not sure why they use the word potential.
I was just curious. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's somebody who doesn't actively use transit, but would. But I'm not sure exactly why they word it that way.
That sounds right to me.
Dana, I had a question about the outreach. I think it's, as long as I've been on the committee, there's been no Latino service provider, or and I just wonder what are you doing for outreach to those vacancies?
So I am actually going to share my screen again once I get it up. So I have been reaching out individually to some organizations, and we actually just recently put up a interest form on our website under this committee. And for some reason, it's not showing up to share my screen. Here we go. Sorry about that. So this is our website. It has that has the Transit-Paratransit committee on it. And we just added this link here for an interest form for people to fill out if they're interested in becoming a member of this committee. And so I'll just show you briefly what it looks like. It has some information about the committee and organization and kind of the category that a person may fall into, and some kind of just general questions about their connection and interest in being on the committee. So, so we have that up now. If you know of anybody or have any groups that you think might have someone on them that could be interested, please feel free to share that. And otherwise, I have been reaching out to various organizations individually, and it's been really difficult to generate much interest. So I will continue looking for organizations that may have some representatives that would fill some of those roles. All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments or ideas on membership of this committee? I would also encourage anybody who joins this committee and is not a member, if you are interested in becoming a voting member, please go ahead and fill out the form. Also feel free to reach out to me or to Drew and with any questions you might have.
I was just curious, before, of course, pre-COVID, we had, I felt a good representation of the paratransit riders, Bettina, and can't remember their name, everybody's name, but I know many of them came to our focus group that we did for people with disabilities in transportation. So I'm wondering, have you reached out to those previous attending members and about the Zoom meetings, and perhaps maybe offer technical assistance to some of the disabled members that maybe they don't have, or maybe they need extra help with accessing technology? That might be an idea. And as far as other outreach, I would recommend, it's kind of in transit right now, but there is an access and functional needs committee that formed after the 2017 fires in the issues with transportation and people with disabilities. And that is represented by a numerous community-based organizations, a number of Spanish-speaking organizations that are interested in disaster preparation, and transportation is one of the standing items on the agenda. So currently the chair of that committee is retiring. So there's a person in DEM, Department of Emergency Management, by the name of Sam Wallace, and he is stepping in as the temporary chair. So I don't know if you wanted to attend those meetings or maybe get see who's on his roster, but there were a number of organizations that were interested in people with access and functional needs.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kathleen. That sounds really helpful. If you have that person's contact information and could send it over to me, that would be great.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. And you know, I have reached out to organizations that, as I said, that had members on the committee. We haven't yet reached out to the people who attended as members of the public pre-COVID, but that is a good idea and something that we can do. So thank you.
I'll just add that City of Santa Rosa hosts a paratransit user group, and we've also had reduced participation in that since COVID, even when we've followed up with individuals. And but for some reason, I know there are people on that do not have a computer, at least one, but then there's others that do and don't participate. So I think it's a real strange variety of reasons, at least in my observations, as to why. And in some committees I've noticed you get a lot of participation in, and others you don't. But I think, yeah, anyways, just as a aside, I think the other piece too is if we really want to do outreach, you know, all the three agencies between Sonoma County, Petaluma, and the city, we have the addresses for, you know, if we wanted to direct mail in terms of outreach, we could. And then there's also an opportunity to have our operational staff kind of target specific people that our, you know, staff know to be vocal and just inquire if they're interested. So I think there's that opportunity for individuals.
Thanks, Yuri. Yeah, and I believe that the bus transit agencies have all put information about the TPCC in their ridership paratransit materials. Ross.
Yes. Oh, just going to say we will be leveraging the SCTA and RCPA, well, mainly SCTA newsletter for February. So we'll definitely add a mention in there and kind of look for some other opportunities to tag it on with some other channels. So I'll be thinking about some ways to get the word out as well.
Thank you, Ross. All right. So moving on, we do have some proposed amendments to the bylaws. We last updated the bylaws in July of 2017, and we did have some questions come up through our Citizens Advisory Committee last fall about quorums, and we actually updated our through our board. We updated the quorum definitions and rules for SCTA, and so we would like to make those definitions consistent with the TPCC, as the TPCC has always kind of had its own definition. So these proposals would make it, these proposed changes to the bylaws would make our quorum language consistent with the rest of our committees. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again and show you in the agenda packet the track changes where those changes would be. So these are our bylaws. And I did actually make a couple proposed changes just to the language, describing membership, and to be a little more modern definition. And then going down, the next change is here under voting. So previously, our bylaws currently, say that 6 voting members, excluding the chair, shall constitute a quorum authorized to transact any business duly presented at a meeting of the committee. The proposed changes say they would make it consistent with our other committees at the SCTA, would change that to say a majority of the members of the committee shall constitute a quorum, and approval of any action shall require the affirmative vote by a majority of members present at the meeting and constituting a quorum. Committee vacancies will not be included when calculating the majority of its members. And in the event that a quorum is initially present at a committee meeting, but a quorum is not present throughout the meeting, members may continue to take action on behalf of the committee, provided such action is approved by the number of members otherwise required for such action, assuming the presence of a quorum. And then there's some language about being able to hold a meeting with a lack of a quorum. So it says at any regular meeting not held because of a lack of a quorum, the members present, if less than a quorum of the committee, may constitute themselves as the committee of the whole for the purpose of discussing agenda matters or any other matter of interest to the members present. The committee of the whole shall automatically cease to exist if a quorum of the committee becomes present at the meeting. No recommendation of the committee of a whole shall be enacted unless the action has been considered and adopted by the committee at a properly noticed meeting. So that's basically just saying that if there's no quorum at a meeting, the committee can constitute themselves as a committee of the whole to conduct the meeting, but they can't vote on any action items. So I am bringing this to you today as a notice of proposed changes, and we can have a discussion about it. I'm not asking for an action on this today because we do have a longer period of noticing that's required. So we would bring this back as an action to our March meeting. So I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen and open it up for any questions or comments.
I have a question. So where it says a majority of the members constitutes a quorum, is that the members that are printed in the membership roster, or is it just whoever shows up to that particular meeting?
It would be the members that are printed in the membership roster.
Okay, because I know we have people like Smart and like Vivillon, and they never come anyway. So
yeah, no, that's a good point. And you know, Smart, I think we listed there when they became a transit agent, operating transit agency. I'm not sure, and it's something I should probably look into if they're actually they're not required to be on this committee through the Transit Development Act, whereas the other the bus operators that receive that funding are required to be on this committee. So that's something that I could look into, and that would kind of clean up our list if they if the guidance doesn't require them to be part of this committee.
Okay.
And Vivillon is actually, I think, no longer running paratransit. So that's something that we might need to update as well. All right, so if there's no other questions, I'll bring this back to the committee in as is in March, and we'll have a vote on it.
I have a question. I noticed that not a lot of the members of the PUG are here. I know I am, but Yuri always sends out a notice to all the PUG, and they're not here. I'm wondering what that's all about.
Yuri, is that something you normally send a notice for each meeting, or do you have any response to Jenna?
Sorry, I didn't totally hear her question. I thought she cut off. So
I was wondering.
Yeah, please continue.
Yuri, I'll state my question again. I was wondering why not all of the PUG are here at the meetings. I'm here. I'm wondering what's happening with the rest of them. Are they okay? Are they sick? What's stopping them from attending the meeting if it's on Zoom?
I know that I know details of individuals. I know there's one individual that does not have a computer. I know at least 3 others that have attended PUG meetings that aren't here. I don't know why they're not here, but I do send it out. So maybe we can talk about that at the PUG meeting and maybe go into more detail on that, Jenna. But yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to item number 5. And this is just an informational item. I included information on the FTA section 5310, enhanced mobility of seniors and individuals with disabilities funding program. So there is a fact sheet on the funding program and a timeline in your agenda packet. So for anybody who is planning to apply for that, I'm sure you've already taken a look at the schedule, but applications are due on March 2nd.
I just wanted to say that they AAA is not going to be applying for this round of 5310 funding, mostly due to manpower. We have just a few employees, staff, and we have a lot of ARPA funding and CARES contracts and a lot of extra coronavirus relief work and contracts that we've been managing. So the timing of putting in an application does not work for us. I have reached out to our partners and subcontractors that have been funded through our project, mostly volunteer driver programs. And I know a number are interested in applying, but I do believe that the federal application is quite intimidating. So if there are any transit partners that would want to collaborate or assist some of our smaller nonprofits or coordinate an application, that I know there are some agencies that would be interested. I don't know, Linda, if you're willing to talk about Cloverdale and the issues in Cloverdale and how that funding might assist you.
Oh, yes, I'd love to. As I alluded to before, it's astonishing that there is no transportation in Cloverdale. You can't, there's the bus. The bus stop is about, I clocked it the other day. It was 0.4 of a mile from my house. Not bad, but it's downhill. And then when you have to walk back uphill, it's a 408-foot gain. So the idea that I could get on the bus and drive around town, ride around town and bring home groceries that I would have to carry up the hill. And I live in town. It just does, it's not going to work. Taxi doesn't serve in Cloverdale. You can't get Uber or Lyft. And so when I say there's no transportation, there is nothing, literally nothing. It's just hard to imagine. You know, other places have these other resources available to them, but because Cloverdale is just far enough away from, you know, everything, it makes a huge difference. So seniors, once they lose their ability to drive, have no options at all. I happen to live alone. And I was just thinking the other day, if I happen to lose my driver's license, I would have to move because there's no option for me. There's nobody to call to ask for help. So the senior center sees this most desperately because we're the ones most likely to be impacted by the lack of resources. And so we have, Kathleen knows me, she's been very helpful in sending me some of the previous applications that have been filled out to give us something to look at. And so right now I have a Zoom at 3 o'clock to meet with the grant writer that the senior center has a contact with here in Cloverdale to see what she thinks about whether or not it's even doable. You know, so it's like I'm late to the party, and so I'm just now finding out what the options are relative to all this. And so I would welcome any kind of assistance that anybody has, or even some, if you can just refer me to somebody that would be available that maybe has gone through this before. It's so important. We really need to do something like the Coastal Seniors did. Now they have the advantage of having a relationship with the Mendocino Transit Authority, and that's who actually takes care of their vans and carries the insurance and does the maintenance and all those other parts. But to me, it makes the most sense to have a program with vans and paid drivers, because otherwise you're talking about who's available to give people rides. It's seniors. So you've got seniors driving their own cars, taking seniors for rides, which, if we can't do anything else, we'll certainly do that. But it's not the best place to start trying to figure out what the program would look like. So that's my long, sad sob story. But it is just astonishing. When I moved here 4.5 years ago, I moved from a small town in San Luis Obispo County where we had dial rides. In all the established cities, I never even knew there was such a thing as not having, some sort of portal to portal driving program that people could access and have some help from their homes.
I have a comment and a suggestion for you.
Thank you, Jenna.
If it's groceries, some stores will deliver groceries to you, and you can also get in-home healthcare through IHSS, or your medical insurance has home nursing staff that can.
Yeah, thank you.
And
that doesn't help me get to, I had a colonoscopy recently. I had to call somebody on an emergency basis to pick me up.
Wow.
Because the doctor's office doesn't let you go. Yes, but I do get my groceries that way. Thank you.
Is there just for clarification, is there paratransit services in Cloverdale?
There is, yes. But I happen to be able-bodied, and so then I don't have options.
And true, seniors, even if they're able-bodied and comfortable driving, there are situations like at night in inclement weather, and then in areas like on the coast, Route 1,
Exactly.
Rio Nido, you know, that they're just not comfortable driving in
Right.
those conditions. So they don't qualify for paratransit, and there's just not any options for those conditions for them.
Thank you. That's exactly right.
There is conditional eligibility via paratransit, as that's always, you know, if somebody can often use the bus or can drive their own vehicle, if there's conditions in which, you know, whether it's weather or specific locations, that it depends on the circumstance, but those are, that can be available.
Thank you.
Does that work, Yuri, for someone that is having a colonoscopy, say, for example, and is going to be put under and can't, no one will let them drive home?
I'm tempted to let Marie answer this question because it's outside our jurisdiction, but I think we operate under the exact same rules. So just correct me, Maria, if I'm overstepping.
No, it's great. I appreciate you, only because I'm new to this meeting, but yes.
But there's temporary eligibility.
Yeah, if we had enough notice, you know, potentially more information about specific restraints that would make it difficult to drive. Maybe like Kathleen was mentioning, at night specifically would make it a challenge. I do understand, Linda, your concerns of having all around service for sure, but definitely I think it's a good reminder that paratransit is available on a conditional status if the need was there.
Thank you. That's good news.
And for Cloverdale, yes, that would be Sonoma County Transit, as long as you're within the 3/4 of a mile of one of our routes. So, which you are.
Yep.
And I see a hand up from Carol Taylor.
Oh, hi. I want to suggest you call Vintage House and look at the model we have here in Sonoma County, in the city of Sonoma and Sonoma Valley, for a volunteer and nonprofit solution. So that's Vintage House and Friends in Sonoma Helping. They have medical rides. They were even going to take me to San Francisco at night to the dental school. It's a really great program, and it might really help you find the model that you want.
Okay, thank you. We've also been in touch with Circuit Rider, who provides some of the services in Windsor, I believe. And so that's a potential model that we could look into as well. The one that seems like it would fit the best for us that I'm aware of at this point is the one that Coastal Seniors uses, because they're similarly located. They're even more rural than Cloverdale and for a lot of their area. And they have a program where they have 5310 funds that bought vans and also paid for a couple of drivers. So that's another model that we've looked at as well. Dash is a nice program in Healdsburg, but that requires a lot of, well, people don't flock to Healdsburg, to Cloverdale in the same way that the tourists flock to Healdsburg. So that would, I'm not sure how well that would work, because they do a hotel tax that funds that. It's my understanding. Anyway, I've been looking around, and thanks. I will look at that. Vintage House is the name of it, you said, Carol?
Yes, Vintage House. Yes, I'm putting that in the chat.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure, you bet.
All right, well, thank you for sharing what the Cloverdale Senior Center is working on. Yeah, if we hear of any other resources, we will send them your way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll post my email in the chat.
Great. Thank you.
And feel free to reach out.
All right. Carol, was your hand up from before?
Legacy hand, sorry.
Okay, no problem. All right. Item number 6 is just an informational item. I put a flyer in the agenda for the Vision Zero workshop that is happening next week, next Tuesday at 6 p.m. So Vision Zero is a countywide effort, an action plan for eliminating traffic fatalities throughout the county. And they've been working on working with all of the jurisdictions and several other partners on developing an action plan. So there will be a workshop, a public workshop to review that plan next Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. And there's a link in the flyer for that. Yuri.
Sorry, is there a section to talk about 5310? Is that the last?
Yeah, you know what? It was just the last item was just informational, but if you have more to say on 5310, go ahead.
I just want to make sure that we're being clear that the city is planning to apply for 5310 funding for replacement vehicles, replacement paratransit vehicles. And we have that item that we're bringing to our council, and we're having a public notice. There's a notice of public hearing for the council date of February 1st.
And Yuri, can you remind me about the electric vehicles and paratransit? Would those be electric vehicles?
They will not. There are no I was hoping we would not, we'd be able to purchase electric vehicles, but there's no paratransit vehicles that have the federal, what's the there's a specific testing requirement for federally funded vehicles. And it's just escaping my brain for the moment, but there's no electric vehicles that have passed that that designation. So no, and the state's transit electrification requirement at this point does not apply for paratransit vehicles, just because there's no vehicles on the market that have gone through that level of scrutiny that allows for federal funding. So they expect that in 2026 they're going to review that and to see if paratransit vehicles if there's going to be state requirements around electrification. But at this point there is no vehicles that could be funded with 5310 money.
All right, thank you.
That being said, we are just to go off that tip. The city is installing 6 chargers and has 4 buses electric vehicle buses that are full fixed route buses that we expect to be delivered in May or June.
Okay, thank you, Yuri. All right. So let's move on to updates, roundtable updates, and starting with transit and paratransit operators. Yuri, since your hand's still up, do you want to go first?
Sure, or I could take my hand down. But no. So we're 2 years into the pandemic, and City Bus we've just kind of experienced our hardest hit to services since the pandemic started. We've had a number of drivers that have been out related to exposures or symptoms they're kind of unknown. So we've had to severely cut back service to Saturday level service. This started last Friday. So we're currently operating on a Saturday level service, except for the Route 10, which goes up to Rombarn, and Route 15, which serves operates on a weekday level of service. So that's our big news. We're supplementing that with Muhammad and his team are supplementing that with providing call ahead type rides or immediate trips that are serving fixed route riders that are unable to make their connections for whatever reason. But that's kind of our biggest news. And then we're just staying very busy with a number of other projects, but that one takes the cake for sure.
Thank you, Yuri. Petaluma Transit.
Hi, not much has changed for us in Petaluma Transit. Like Yuri, we are experiencing some trouble fulfilling all of our routes. So we are right now furiously trying to hire drivers and a mechanic. So if you know anybody, if have friends or family who are interested in working for the city of Petaluma in our transit division, please send them over to us, either with me or with just calling our main line. We are desperate for staff right now. On the flip side, we do continue to encourage our paratransit users to use fixed route whenever possible. We used to have people use their paratransit ID card to get those free rides on fixed route. We want to remind the public that you don't need your card anymore to ride fixed route. You just contact us. If you're in our system, we will send you bus passes so that you can use them. And we have a list, so we will be sending out all the bus passes for individuals for February. But we do want to hear from you so that we can put you on the list and we can make sure you get your bus passes in time. Other than that, all remains the same, and I can take any questions.
Thanks, Sylvia. And Sonoma County Transit.
Yes, I'm Maria from Sonoma County Transit. So like Yuri and Sylvia mentioned, we're also dealing with a labor shortage for sure. We have been able to continue our routes, our fixed route, as well as our paratransit service with no interruption, but we are also having trouble hiring more drivers. Right now, our fixed route is at 38% of pre-pandemic ridership levels. For paratransit, we had seen about 113 average weekday passengers in September. It's been dropping. So in December, we had 88. So we saw a spike, but then we've seen some reduction in ridership. We are expecting 4 new paratransit vehicles, but they've been delayed due to a chip shortage. So I'm not sure when we'll be getting those. And then 3 electric fixed route vehicles will be coming, 30-footers in June. So that's what I have to report.
Great, thank you, Maria. Let's see. That Golden Gate Transit said that they were not able to join today. And so I think that covers our transit and paratransit operators. So next is mobility partner reports. And Lauren, do you want to start with an update on iRides?
Sure, iRides Petaluma is still plugging along. We are delivering meals as well as the regular home delivered meals. And we've been helping out with them as there was not enough drivers to add that many more routes, as we had a lot more clients that were sheltered in place. So ever since the beginning of that, we've been delivering meals 5 days a week. And our iRide drivers have been doing that, as well as taking clients to and from their appointments. We have a shortage of drivers for sure, and certainly could use some new ones. Our drivers are becoming a little less willing to drive right now. We've had a couple stop, taking a hiatus till the Omicron eases up a little bit. But the riders have not taken a hiatus, which I think is interesting. I thought that some of the doctor's offices would cancel some of the regular appointments and that kind of thing like they did before. So far, they aren't. Someone called to double check, like on a mammogram, and they're, oh, absolutely, come take it. So it's becoming challenging to try to fill all our medical rides, and that's the priority. We do take clients to the grocery store, to hair salon, anywhere really, but priority is medical. And we have to get those filled first. And then if we have enough other drivers, we'll do the rest. But we are still continuing, and we just hope for more drivers. That's it.
Thank you, Lauren. Kathleen, would you like to give an update next?
Yeah, sure. Like Lauren was saying, many of our programs have experienced the same with the Omicron in that there's more requests for rides than there are drivers or volunteers to give the rides. We see particular areas of need. Roanoke Park is one. Cloverdale, of course, is another. West County, we've been able to run a lot of rides because we have West County Community Services. They have a shuttle that goes into town. And then of course, Sebastopol Senior Center also has volunteer driver programs. Windsor Wheels, which is Circuit Rider Community Services, they have a waiting list of riders and not enough drivers. So there's constant need to recruit volunteers. And of course, the cost of running the programs is increasing with the COVID pandemic because every time you hire a new volunteer, there's a screening that's required, background checks. And of course, the cost of gas is going up $5 a gallon, and that's what the volunteers are paying to drive people around. So it's challenging for us. Other news is, I think I mentioned before, is that we, the County of Sonoma Area Agency on Aging had a designation of an emerging ADRC, which is an Aging and Disability Resource Connection. We are going to be filing for to be a permanent ADRC. We are calling it the Aging and Disability Resource Hub, so ADRH to be different. So hopefully that will bring us more funding. And of course, our partner in this is the Disability Services and Legal Center. And I was hoping that one of their employees would be representing on this committee. I also have reached out to DSLC since Lake has left to see if somebody could represent. So again, I will reach out to my liaison at the ADRC to see if a board member or somebody could represent, because the whole concept of an ADRC is a no wrong door, one-way stop for aging and disability services in the county. So it's a good fit for them to be on this committee. So that's about all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen, and thank you for reaching out again about connection with this committee. So they've been a good, solid partner on this committee for a long time. All right, well, that brings us to public comment. Does anybody have any public comment? All right. How about other business comments or announcements? All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining today and for the discussion. We look forward to seeing you at our meeting in March.
Thank you.
Ready.
Thank you.
See y'all later. Bye-bye.